All right, hey, what's up, guys? I want to go over the May 2019 programming priorities with you in the monthly cycle so you can communicate it really well to your members at every class. I do recommend a video maybe similar to this in your private Facebook group is always really good. One for the website blog works great too. And hopefully the way I say it's good enough that you can take it and make it better with you and your awesome way to connect with your members. So without further ado, let's get going for May. What you're going to notice is we're kicking off, you're really the end of April, but early May is week 1 out of 3, our second block. So we just finished up our accumulation cycle, a bunch of functional bodybuilding, deload. Really people getting rather sore from slow contractions, right? Slow contractions are going to make us a lot more sore. It's going to force our body to structurally change. That's why when you get, say, former athletes in the gym, they can do the dynamic contractions really well. They may not get quite as sore. Usually that struggle rep where people are kind of fighting through, like, I'm so sore from that. And that's why the really good people at fitness, people that are heading to the games, they can make those contractions, as we always say, sustainable. So flipping the script forces the change to happen. So that's something we always are doing in our fitness and function group. So there's really no time of year that's better or worse for that because they're constantly doing it. So if you had someone that really liked this last phase of training, but they also were trying to beat themselves up a little too much with either extra pieces or lifting maybe a little heavier than their technique allows, or just not in line with their goals, I would put them and really have a talk with them about why that fitness track is so good. First big priority this month is Murph prep. You'll see that comes up. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks for it. Really on the 5th week comes up, so we have a little bit of time. What you'll notice is that Monday here, it's week 2 out of 3. That's going to be the squat and kind of high volume gymnastics day there, because we know that in a regular gym, not everyone's coming 5 or 6 days a week. The majority of people are really in Monday through Wednesday, and then we start to get a shift on the other days. Some gyms a little more, some gyms a little less, but all in all, that's a pretty standard thing across the board. That Monday, Tuesday, especially, and Wednesday are like the power days for people attending, right? So we're not doing that all 5 days of Monday are not Murph prep. It gets boring. I don't like to have those cycles run longer than 3 days. I don't want to put it on a day where maybe people aren't going to take advantage of it as well, right? So you'll notice that the first 3 days, that's going to be on Tuesday, and it's Murph prep, doing some squat endurance work, et cetera. That we're going to build through some upper body gymnastics accumulation. And then as it gets closer to that Monday before, but it's on the following Monday, we have Murph, and we're transitioning it there. So that way everyone gets a little piece of the goodness. The priorities for Murph are building gymnastics volume from slow to fast contractions. So you'll see pieces we do that involve strict pull-ups, that involve weighted pull-ups, etc. Through those are generally slower contractions that are going to build up to faster ones, which are kipping and butterfly pull-ups. Right? Unless you want to do Murph strict, which is how I do it every year, and it's super hard. It takes me forever, but I just like it. So there you go. I can't do it with a weight vest though. That's above my pay grade. Shoulder health. We're going to be focusing on a lot of unilateral carries throughout the week. So you'll see it here on, say, this first day, upper body vertical pulling, and then a horizontal bilateral hold. That we're going to transition into some other days where it'll be like right here next Thursday on the 9th. It's a ring row isometric and single arm hold that we're doing, balancing early in the week with upper body, say strict pull-ups and other upper body pulling pieces that we'll then do. And then there's some weighted work that'll come through here across the week on, say, quarter gone bad, weighted or strict pull-ups for capacity and output. So that's why those single arm carriers, you're going to see them a bunch of different places, either supersetted or just on their own as a piece or in a workout. They're really important that people don't think it's like a rest movement. It's something we're doing for shoulder care to make sure they are balanced and healthy and good for the voluminous amounts of pull-ups that we don't have to do to get ready. We don't need to, if it's an individual, we don't need to do this like for an individual. Say I have an athlete looking to compete, trying to go to the games, and there's going to be 100 pull-ups in a workout. I generally have to get them to double the volume of that in a training session to be able to whittle it down to intensity of 100. We're not doing that here. Right? I'm not going to give 200 pull-ups and 400 push-ups on daily training intervals to get people ready for Murph. That's not in line with anyone's goal, or almost anyone's goal in your gym. And if they are, they're already competing and doing awesome, I think. But we want to make sure structurally they're sound. They know how to approach through it. They've built up a good enough engine, and they're resilient enough to focus through. So that's why it's a big priority. Balancing, again, I put it in the notes there. It's in Kajabi. Their bilateral vertical pulling and horizontal pressing are two because we're doing a bunch of push-ups and pull-ups. So we're doing single arm vertical pressing a bunch, and then bilateral horizontal, unilateral horizontal pulling and holds to balance those two out. There's always a balancing piece we want to have being done. That's the first. Second part, out of accumulation, we're now going into strength endurance. A couple different ways we're doing strength endurance here. Let's look at the back squat and the hinge, how we're flipping those two pieces together here. Back squat is going to be sets of 8 reps, so it's a little higher rep count, but no time under tension or low. So each rep is only a couple seconds, right? Or no tempo, but it's high contraction rate. So that's going to keep the load a little lower, but they can push the pace a little more on that. Versus, say, the sumo deadlifts here, just 5 reps, so you can go, it's a longer, slower contraction per rep, 3-0-3-0 tempo, but just for 5. So each one will take about 30 seconds, but higher reps, faster contractions on one, lower reps, slower contractions on the other. Both end up in strength and endurance where we want, but we're doing them in different ways. Same, you'll see a different rep scheme totally. The complexities in the movement selection here for the press. So rather than vary the rep and tempo scheme like we're doing here, we're varying the movement selection to where they do have high time under tension, upper body. You're going to balance out the pushing. It's press into push, press into push, jerk, right? We're doing that, and then balancing that out with things like dumbbell bear crawl, really good for the lats and scaps. Single arm overhead carry, right? Bilateral carry, dip supports, holds, and things like that. So that's why those are woven in like that, just because there's so much of this happening, right? They want to make sure everyone's healthy and good, body comp's good, and they're staying awesome in your program. Okay, so that's the first piece of strength endurance, why those 3 pieces are set. And the third piece of strength endurance really is a little more, we call it CP battery endurance, or the creatine phosphate endurance. And that'll get shown up into like quarter gone bad, right? 15 seconds of thrusters hard, 15 seconds of weighted or strict pull-ups, 15 seconds of burpees. So short, hard output versus long, slow. There's the balancing there you're going to see as well throughout the week and everything. Again, same thing the day before. We're doing that. Ring row, isometric hold, single arm or both arms, vertical, horizontal hold and handstand, balance out bilateral pushing contractions. Okay? Next up, supersets. Set so good. Again, the super tagline. The idea here that you'll see is we're going to do this. Let's look here for the sumo deads and then some core work. Right? We have back squat, I think, is on its own. We have pressing here and ring row holds. Right? We want those too. It's going to keep, while we're doing compound movements, major compound movements now versus accessory where it was more segmented. Right? It's going to keep the intensity relatively lower. The metabolic effects are higher. And that's a really important piece here as we're building into this. We're building into more intensity and building into heavier loads. We want to make sure the structure is good and everything is solid. Compound movement quality is good with a little lower relative intensity. We're just jumping into heavy sets of 2 back squats. Okay, we're making sure they're all solid there, and those will come up. And again, as we switch on the cycle, then we go there, right? The back squat strength endurance piece is set with front squats, right? Back and front. So the back squats for strength endurance. Front squat's going to be positional. You see 1 1/4 and pause front squats, etc. That's going to be for output. How come? Well, you can't quite go as heavy on front squats as back squats. So front squats is getting higher reps. Back squat's getting higher reps. Front squat is getting higher load relative to what that movement is capable of. Again, no one's 1 1/4 front squat is like their best. No one's probably doing that equivalent to a back squat 1 RM. So that's why that's in there. Then we have front squats. We built that up. We built the pull off the ground. We start going into some hang cleans. And just a little bit. We're not doing a huge amount of Oli lifting. A lot of absolute strength in the cycle, but hang squat clean and clean grip deadlift. We know what those two make. They make a beautiful baby called a squat clean eventually. And then we did all the bilateral pressing. After we kind of finish up our Murph there, it's unilateral vertical pressing. It's really similar complex. I've come to really, really like these and what they do. They're really easy for people to learn, but a high effect and stimulus from them. Say single arm push press into single arm push jerk with a kettlebell or a dumbbell, depending on what loads you have. really, really challenging. Great transfer over to barbells. They're great transfer over to handstand push-ups, over to shoulder health, etc., and movement. So I hope you dig them as much as I do in there, but they're going to come up a bunch. So we're doing some Oly lifting. They're classically a little bit there. That's going to be really functional bodybuilding. You will have to move well doing it, right? But it's not going to be max output, 1 rep max split jerks, which again are important. There's a time we'll do some of those in the week. We're not going to do all week of those ever, right? We're not a Oly gym for that. At the same time, making sure they can move well, get some capacity that's balanced out with, right? What do we balance out anytime we do output? Something slow or contraction based, right? Single arm dumbbell row, hollow holds, heavy farmer's carry, right? Sled pushes. I think the next week is sled push plus hollow rock, and now a prone row, etc. Move through that. I did after the front squats. Now instead of back squat endurance, it's front squat, getting closer to what looks like classic intensity there for absolute strength. So again, all those pieces are coming up in the cycle. I want to make sure you know how to explain them and do them well there. That's why the supersets are starting off, because we start off accumulation is slow, slowly there, and eventually, I would say back squat isn't superset at all, because now I want you to go hard. Your structure, your tissues are all good. You're ready to rock. Next up, we are passing through halfway and past on the cycle. That means the workouts are going to start contrasting between a little bit of the accumulation side, a little bit of intensification side. And that means we start to introduce some lactic pieces, not a ton, but some more of the nasty short couple minute burners. Yeah, they come up there a little bit. Not every day is a 21-15-9, something like that, but there's a little bit of there in there, right? And you'll see that on some of the days like here, 15-12-9, short, hard, get after it. Well, how come? Well, we did some heavy back squats, something short there, and guess what comes up Monday? Murph. So again, looking to balance body, output, energy, CNS, all these pieces that we know when they're out of whack, body composition and health are affected. Sleep is affected. So when we balance those, we're not doing great. Let's see what else I have here. Classic benchmark testers are coming up with a little more variance. Karen's a pretty simple benchmark, maybe not the most fun, but a great one for Murph prep. Grace and Helen. Those ones are a little classic, bring the punch there. We can go then to Elizabeth after Grace. Right, we'll come up a little later. Helen is a little harder, right? Kelly, even harder. We've done the high volume work, so it's a great time to throw that in. We know people have been ready after Murph. Maybe not right away. It's week 1 out of 3. Maybe a couple weeks in, we'll see Kelly come up, right? There, and that's the idea. And then finally, this phase, we'll get everyone prepped for some higher intensity and retesting in June. Again, with this whole cycle, the intensity overall is lower than, say, like an open prep, even though we don't really do that. It is lower than open prep stuff. We know most people want to do the open, and they still want to just have fun, look great, master new skills, like we talk about in our monthly coaching game plan. Tissue and structure health also. Loading, once the movement quality has improved, is really important. And then finally, retesting those basic pieces and adding in some more advanced pieces like Elizabeth for performance, Amanda say for sport may come in there a little later, but always balance it out with some capacity work that people can get after, really express their abilities, and have a great time as we transition into summer. So that's the May monthly overview. This document, the one I'm reading off, I'll share that in case you're wondering why I have one goofy eye. There is in the membership site. So if I can pull up the right course, let's see, not there. Is it this one? Nope, not it. 0 for 2, 0 for 3. Nope, none of them are there. It would be here in programming in the vault, and I'll just pull up that really quickly. This is my back end side. Go to preview. Let's see where the pork's made. Here we go through all of this, all the onboarding and coaching and lesson plans, and then finally, drum roll please, monthly playbook. We go into programming here, and all of that will be up, and that's May 2019 programming priorities. Just download it right there. And that's May. It's going to be an awesome month. I'm really excited to help take care of everyone and show them how we can get ready for Murph without having to do all the pieces of Murph. Everything here is going to be set up for you. If you are in SugarWOD, here shortly, we just got to get the finalization go ahead that it all looks good, and we can send it out to you too. And you're all set. The monthly, the competitors and accessory trainings there, the spreadsheet, what I showed you here for May, the spreadsheet is there. I think I was sharing the wrong screen. Sorry, I'll pull it up right here. Whoops, I was doing so good, right? Let's see, where are we at? Yeah, right here, Kajabi, right? We have our May month 2019 programming. The priority sheet is right here in downloads. The Excel sheet, the one I showed you right here, is in that area. The competitors training, accessory training, and all the facility lesson plans are there. Those will be in SugarWOD for you here shortly. So let's make a great month, you guys. I'm so excited to get to have everyone healthy and doing amazing work and show them how we can do that without beating the crap out of them and a better way to train. Thanks.